Hey, it's Brett Andrews. Nobody needs to struggle with mental health or substance abuse issues. That's why I'm excited today to be talking with Sam Markwart, the county's Community Access Recovery Services intake team. Now, first, Sam, I got to ask you, the acronym is CARS. So can you explain a little bit about what you do and kind of the overall kind of vibe of your team?
It's fitting that we are our acronym is CARS because we're doing a lot of driving. We're meeting individuals in the community as well as hospitals and other facilities. But more so, we're meeting individuals in the community where they're at, where they are in their life, be it their home, on the street, wherever. We're coming to you and meeting with the individual to interact with them.
Mm-hmm. And it's 24 hours a day. Yeah, I mean, you can, whenever somebody needs, this kind of intake, you guys are pretty much available.
So my team has a regular 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but you do have the availability to access crisis resources anytime, 24 hours.
Great, great. And see, that's one of the things that, I think is important to talk about is how vast and, far-reaching these services that the county offers really are. I mean, because there's so many different types of issues that people can be going through, and you guys are able to kind of pinpoint the best direction. You guys are almost like traffic police in a sense, right? You kind of assess and figure out where the best place for an individual.
I like to think of our team as quarterbacks.
There you go.
And our clients are the coaches. They're telling us what they want to do, what's the play, and us as the quarterbacks direct our clients towards resources in the community.
That's great. I love that. So let's talk about some of the warning signs, some of the things that people, if they're thinking maybe they or a loved one are experiencing some mental health crises or substance abuse issues. I know there's kind of a top 10 warning sign thing. So why don't we go through that top 10 and just kind of hit on each one real quick.
Yeah, and it's important to remember before I start that things present in individually.
Right.
What looks like depression for me might not be depression for you, for example. So some of the warning signs might be drastic changes in behavior, personality, or sleeping habits, feeling sad, frustrated, unmotivated for an extended period of time, like 2 weeks.
So that's interesting because the time period is probably a key factor in this because if you're feeling sad for a couple of days as opposed to being sad for 3-4 weeks, I mean there's such a wide, because feeling sad for a couple of days could be something minor, could just be if it's consistent. Is it the consistency that you're looking for, the length of time that you're
prolonged feelings of mental health concern like depression? It's something that we definitely want to pay attention to. Even the short windows. It's important to remember that we're all humans. We all have our ups and downs every single day. We all need help sometimes. But the prolonged feelings of sadness and other warning signs that we're talking about, that's definitely something that we want to be paying attention to as loved ones, as individuals, and as a community.
Mm-hmm. So some of the other things on this list, out of control, risk-taking behavior, kind of maybe a feeling of nothing to lose behavior. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, and then when you couple that sometimes with addiction, that lowers inhibitions or that changes your mood to a whole different level, and that can definitely be a part of that.
We've talked about weight gain, weight loss, not eating, throwing up, doing things like that. I mean, that's also something that loved ones could. That's maybe more of a outward sign,
right?
That you can really kind of see, just not having to look too closely. That's one of more of the bigger warning signs because it's so noticeable.
Yeah. That's a key one for loved ones to you're seeing these the individuals every day on a daily basis, maybe in the home and then you're noticing the drastic weight loss, weight gain, something to talk about, to bring up to the individual.
How about like these mood swings? Maybe acting considerably out of character for, what a person would normally be, acting like.
Yeah, it's just another thing to really pay attention to. It's another sign that someone could be struggling, and it can't hurt to ask someone if they need help or if they need support. So doing so when you're noticing these things, even if it turns out to be something mild or maybe not that big for the individual, asking someone how they're doing, if they're feeling overwhelmed or if they just need someone to listen to them is so important.
With your intake team as part of what you guys do you find that, especially if it's like a loved one that's maybe concerned about somebody, do you find that there's a level of no, that's not it, or a denial or a covering of emotions and feelings because maybe people are scared to get help?
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of it. And then from the angle of a loved one or someone who cares about the individual, it's important to remember that we're meeting the individual where they are in their journey and recovery. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we care about the people in our lives and we want them to succeed and flourish. And so seeing someone you care about struggle is very, very hard, be that mental health or addiction. So keeping it back in your mind that, if someone's not ready to move forward, it's best to meet them where they are instead of trying to push them. And then a lot of times you're seeing people pull back.
Sure. I think it's, and this is something I think that's been talked about a lot, is the person needs to be ready to get help. You can't force. It's hard to force somebody to get help because then they're just going to be so combative about that help that it may not help. It may not be at that particular moment. So when people are ready, whether it be a loved one, encouraging someone to get help, or just somebody who just realizes on their own that hey, things are different inside me. What can I do? Talk about some of the resources that you have, some of the ways that people can take advantage of the services, because maybe somebody needs that help and wants that help but doesn't know where to get it. And that's why these conversations and this mental health minute is so important, because we want to shed a light on, hey, there's tons of stuff right here in the county that are available to you, but maybe people don't know.
Right. And I think you touched upon it perfectly. Tons of stuff. The resources can be overwhelming. There's different opportunities for everyone. And I want to just touch upon real fast the fact that Milwaukee County is really focusing on the no wrong door policy. If you're calling any of our services, that someone is actively working with you to help you get directed to the right resource that will be most beneficial towards you. Not just, here's a phone number, go about your day.
Yeah.
Actively, no wrong door. You called Milwaukee County. Let's direct you towards the resources that are be most beneficial and supportive towards you.
So it's not like the when you call customer service and they're not the right department, so they just forget about you, and that cell phones and cable company, what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's not my problem. I'm going to put you on hold for another 45.
Exactly.
But you guys will pinpoint exactly where somebody needs to go and make sure that they actually connect, and that's huge.
That's what we're starting to work towards. We're improving upon it every single day, and I'm very excited that Milwaukee County has taken this focus.
Do you think there are there any areas that you think could be improved in dealing with this, both as in terms of not only just loved ones in the community, but just more specifically in what you guys are doing to expedite or make it easier?
So one of the big things that we try to do when we're meeting with our clients is taking surveys so that we're learning upon our previous interactions with others and continuing to grow. I'm assuming this is where the no wrong door came from, among other things. We're taking information from previous clients or clients that we're currently working with and developing systems and putting them in place to be more supportive to the community.
Yeah, and that those lines of communication you're finding, aren't you, that they're so vital between the different departments, because it absolutely makes a world of difference, right?
Yep.
That's great. What else? What else should we know? What else? Whether it's in dealing with maybe talking to somebody that you love, because that can be a hard thing too. I know a lot of I would imagine if you have a loved one that's struggling with this type of issue, it's sometimes easier to convince yourself, well, no, that's just my imagination. They'll snap out of it. It may be scary to approach a loved one. Is there a resource inside your organization, inside the community, that maybe helps people with the skills to confront and address these issues with the loved one, whether it's a spouse or a friend or a child, a son or a daughter, you know what I mean? Like, because that can be very frightening, especially for parents or for spouses.
And from quick answers to questions being asked, all the way to support groups for loved ones that focus on the families or the friends surrounding the individual who's struggling with addiction or mental health, is available within Milwaukee County. So if you reach out to Milwaukee County, call Crisis Services, the crisis line which you mentioned, or just calling 211 for general information, they can direct you towards resources for families or for loved ones.
That's great. It's great. Because I think, one thing that's important to remember is that while, and I think this is true for a lot of things, when it comes to overall health issues, mental or otherwise, is that it's not just the person going through it. It's the person who's going through it, but it's the people that they are surrounded with too, because it affects their lives as well. And it's not always easy. I mean, even from a close by person, as well as the particular person going through that situation. So why don't we just make sure that we spend a couple of minutes talking about exactly where we go to contact. Now, there's the website, which is, let me make sure I've got this right, so I don't want to mess it up. It's betterwaystocope.org, betterways2to, not to, it's betterways2cope.org,
yes.
Or the 24-hour crisis line, which you mentioned, which is 414-257-7222. Are there any other avenues? Can you just walk in somewhere? Can you let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Milwaukee County has a plethora of opportunities to seek support and services. One that we direct our clients to often is the access clinics throughout Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County has created a few different access clinics on the south side, on the north side of Milwaukee, where an individual who, let's for example say that they are running out of medications, or they're between regular outpatient mental health providers like a psychiatrist. They can go in for bridge appointments to these access clinics. They can come in the next day, or into walk-in hours, I should say, and meet with a provider that can help bridge appointments until they're in contact with a new regular outpatient provider. And they also help them link with those providers as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway, the biggest point, and something that I think is so important for everyone to remember is that while these situations often make people feel extremely isolated and alone, in Milwaukee County they never are. There's always someone to turn to and always someone to get help from. And I on a personal level, I've been somebody who has struggled in the past for most of my life with various mental health issues. And, I've always been lucky because I've had a family that has been supportive and open about that. And I've always, had those resources. But some people don't, some people, just simply don't have that. It's not talked about in some families. And that's why we want to break out of that and make sure that everybody is open and honest with themselves, with their families, and because it's so easy. Clearly, it's so easy to seek and get help from the county. It's amazing.
Having family support is amazing, and like you said, not everyone has that opportunity where they're working with friends and family on a regular basis for support. And so, one of the things that my team does is we link individuals sometimes to case management services at different levels of care. And in doing so, you're working with a case manager, and that case manager is helping to form a team around an individual, linking them to community resources, because maybe they don't have those family resources, or maybe they need some additional, or the family needs some support. So case manager is not only working to get the family and friends involved, but they're also working to get the community involved with the individual and linking the individual to the community.
Amazing. Let's give the website and the phone number one more time, betterwaystocope.org. And the 24-hour crisis line, 414-257-7222. Sam, thank you so much. Before I let you go, anything else? Anything that is just bubbling in your head that you think is super important to get out, or did we do a good job of covering dotting our T's and crossing our I's?
I think we talked about a lot. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having us out here today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sam, for coming out. And again, betterwaystocope.org, 257-7222.
Thank you.